I'll keep this quick. Fire. I have a project at UMD with a research professor and her grad student to simulate fire in Gaussian spot. Really, really cool because it actually kind of falls on the work from Gaussian Flesh, which implemented thermodynamics, first of its kind. Really awesome. The tricky thing though is that the goal of this project, like I said, is to create fire. So that means having a set of pictures or a video and then throwing the physical properties to then go create a fiery scene that our firefighters can go train in and like, okay, if we do this, this happens. If we do that, that happens. And immediately you can obviously think, okay, maybe that's a bit hard. But when you actually start thinking about the actual physical parameters, you can actually infer from a picture or video, it then becomes a different class of problem. I think this was really fortunate. I was really fortunate for this project because this week was actually my company's annual research symposium. And this year the focus was education, not just education, but education through the means of different organizations and groups, particularly fire research groups or fire safety or firefighters. And as such, we got to go to a firefighting, I don't know what it's called, firefighting building, office or whatever, and they got to show us fire demos. And I think because of that, I actually got to change the way I was thinking about the problem. Because the way I was thinking about it before was fire. I was just thinking about fire in my head. It's like, okay, you have this triangle of fire and all that, and how do you do this? How do you do that? But actually seeing it the first time, you realize there's so many external factors that actually affect how fire evolves over time. You can think of stuff like the airflow in the day, like, oh, how's the airflow, and that affects how the fire moves. The materials are actually a really tricky thing because, like, even firefighters and the fire researchers don't really fully know the exact causal relationship in terms of what materials actually contribute to the way the fire looks. They have a general idea, but in terms of actual specifics, it's not as clear cut. I mean, think about the air, you can think about what's in the air and how that's affecting the burning. You can think about the sun, how the lighting is moving, and so many stuff that really go into this fire. And it really does bug me, right? Because my hope was really just like, okay, it's gonna be pretty easy. You see pictures of fire, you just get the average look, and you get an SDF of that, turn the SDF, or you get a Gaussian scene, you get an SDF, and you do that whole relationship or transformation, then you can simulate it, right? That was my hope. But now think about it from this angle of like there's so many external factors. It's no longer just about there's a fly. It's no longer just about like the picture itself, but it's like how can you go deeper and then try and figure out all those external relationships, at least the ones that are most relevant to the evolution of the fire, right? And this is not gonna be a video where I give those answers because I'm still looking for them. I think I have a couple here and there. I think it's gonna involve more conversations. I have one lined up, I think next week. So we got to next. No, it's next week. I have one lined up next week where I'm going to go more into fire and get his opinion on what can actually be inferred from pictures, like what's like physically possible. Maybe some stuff just had to be approximated. Maybe we can just like use some general knowledge to estimate some stuff. But I do think it's an exciting problem. I think it's really exciting, not just in terms of fire research, because ultimately with this project, you can actually have a situation where firefighters get to look at their case studies of where people have died and where they've been mass forest fires, right? Look at those case studies where they weren't able to do what they wanted and now practice that for however long and we get to master that situation so they can prevent it in the future. You get that and that's really, really impactful. You also get amazing contributions to the work I'm doing in world models with Star Labs because with world models, Star Labs doesn't really try and have like a fancy world model that looks plausible, but has to be that's physically correct. Because ultimately, right now, what we're seeing with world models is that a lot of them look very fancy, right? And it's been a lot of great work. But if you're to do any of those fancy world models at a physical benchmark, most of them wouldn't perform as well. That's just my guess. I could be wrong, but I highly doubt it. And I think ultimately, time is like the ultimate tester of that, right? Because ultimately, you want to have something that consistently evolves, and to have that, the best thing we found is physics, right? Because if we didn't have a consistent physics, we would see stuff that just sort of makes it like a cartoon that just whatever will happen will only happen at that time, and you wouldn't know what's gonna happen next. But I'm excited. I think it's a great problem. I'm really excited as well because I've been wanting to have a research partnership at UMD for the longest time now, and I finally have that in a problem that is relevant to my work. It's actually a direct follow-up from the work I did. So it's an amazing time to be working in world models, Gaussian spotting, fire, because even now, as sad as it is to say, there's some stuff happening from Canada that's affecting Chicago, and it's the reason why I can't go outside because the smoke is just terrible. And I'm just really happy to be in a situation like this, right? To not only be doing great work in the space of war models, but to be doing great work in the space of fire safety and such humanity. Besides that, though, I have nothing else to say, so have a great day.